Men, pay close attention. Women constantly test, and most of it is silent. These are not overt challenges, but subtle, unconscious behaviors that reveal their true character, priorities, and intentions. Understanding these silent tests is critical if you want clarity in dating and relationships. Women are always assessing men, not just for attraction, but for stability, boundaries, and emotional authority. How you respond determines respect, trust, and alignment. Most men miss these tests because they are subtle. A delayed reply, a teasing comment, a small contradiction in her words. These are all signals. If you react impulsively, overanalyze, or get defensive, you fail the test without even realizing it. The key is to observe, interpret, and respond intentionally. This is how you see her true nature before becoming deeply invested. In this video, I'll break down 7 silent tests women use. Each one reveals different aspects of character: honesty, respect, emotional intelligence, consistency, and alignment with your energy and boundaries. Recognizing these patterns allows you to engage intelligently, protect your emotional investment, and avoid wasting time on women who aren't aligned with your standards. The modern dating world is fast, unpredictable, and full of subtle cues. A man who understands female psychology sees through the tests and responds with calm authority. Once you recognize them, you control the dynamic rather than being manipulated by uncertainty or misinterpretation. 1. Delayed responses. Men, the first silent test is delayed responses, when she takes her time replying to your texts, calls, or messages. This is not always about disinterest. It's a test of patience, confidence, and emotional stability. Women observe how you handle the absence of immediate attention because it reveals your level of self-respect and independence. A delayed response forces you to show emotional control. If you overreact, double text, or become needy, you fail the test. Women notice insecurity instantly. On the other hand, a composed man maintains his energy, continues his day, and responds thoughtfully rather than impulsively. This signals confidence and emotional maturity, traits that are highly attractive. Another aspect is consistency. A woman may intentionally vary her response time to see how much your mood or behavior shifts. One day, she may reply promptly. Another day, she may wait. Your reaction to this inconsistency communicates whether your value is tied to her attention or internal. Maintaining a steady demeanor shows independence and self-assurance. Timing also plays a role in understanding her character. If her delayed responses come with clarity or explanation, it signals respect. If she gives vague excuses, tests, or passive-aggressive messages, it shows potential for drama or emotional instability. Observing these patterns helps you gauge alignment with your standards early. Your response strategy matters. Stay calm, don't overanalyze, and avoid projecting assumptions. Respond when it's convenient and aligned with your energy, not based on obligation. This approach demonstrates that your attention is a choice, not a given. Women respond to men who value themselves and their time. Finally, delayed responses reveal how she handles boundaries. Women who respect a man's time and energy signal reliability and character. Those who intentionally manipulate attention or create unnecessary tension reveal traits that may cause conflict later. Understanding this silent test allows you to assess her integrity, priorities, and emotional intelligence without confrontation. Men who master this principle don't chase attention or react impulsively. They observe, interpret, and maintain composure. This builds attraction, protects emotional energy, and clarifies whether she is aligned with your values. Recognizing delayed responses as a silent test is a cornerstone of understanding female psychology in modern dating. 2. Testing boundaries. Men, the second silent test is testing boundaries. The subtle ways a woman probes limits, to see how much she can get away with. This isn't always conscious. It's a natural part of her psychology to measure your confidence, authority, and self-respect. How you respond determines whether she respects your energy or attempts to push past it. Boundary testing comes in many forms. She might make teasing comments, push for attention at inconvenient times, or attempt to influence your schedule. Another common tactic is testing physical or emotional limits, like overstepping personal space, pressing for intimacy too soon, or making demands that challenge your standards. Each of these situations is an unconscious probe of how grounded you are. The key is consistency. A man who enforces boundaries calmly and deliberately communicates authority without aggression. You do not overreact, argue unnecessarily, or try to prove your value. Your actions and energy alone reinforce the boundary. Women instantly recognize and respect this, often subconsciously, because it signals strength, stability, and clarity. Another aspect is emotional response. If she notices you become defensive, anxious, or eager to please, she interprets that as a lack of internal authority. Conversely, a man who remains composed, redirects the interaction, or simply enforces his limit without drama, passes the test effortlessly. Emotional control and confidence work together here. They make the boundary impossible to violate. Testing boundaries also reveals alignment. Women who respect your limits early indicate compatibility and long-term potential. Those who repeatedly challenge your standards without care for your energy or time show traits that may cause conflict later. Recognizing this test allows you to evaluate character before investing heavily. Physical cues matter too. Posture, tone, and energy communicate your standard more effectively than words. If she senses calm authority and self-respect, she is more likely to align her behavior rather than challenge it. Over-explaining or reacting emotionally, on the other hand, signals weakness. Finally, silent boundary tests are continuous. They aren't one-off events. Women observe patterns to gauge consistency. Your ability to maintain composure, enforce limits, and respond intentionally shapes the dynamic of attraction and respect. Men who master this test operate from a position of power without overt control, letting their standards and energy do the work. Understanding boundary testing allows you to lead interactions, protect your energy, and clarify her character without confrontation. Women naturally respect men who enforce their limits calmly and consistently. Passing this silent test is a cornerstone of influence and attraction in female psychology. 3. Observing reactions to challenges. Men, the third silent test is observing reactions to challenges. Women constantly watch how you handle pressure, setbacks, or subtle provocations. These are rarely overt. She may question your decisions, tease you, or introduce minor conflict to see if you stay composed. How you respond reveals your emotional intelligence, confidence, and stability. This test often appears as small challenges disguised as conversation. She might question your choices, disagree playfully, or even challenge your opinions. The goal isn't to create conflict, but to observe whether you are grounded or reactive. A man who becomes defensive, over-explains, or argues aggressively fails the test immediately. Calm, composed responses signal emotional authority and stability, traits women instinctively value. Another form of this test is social observation. Women notice how you react under pressure in social situations, such as when interacting with friends, colleagues, or strangers. Do you remain confident, composed, and courteous? Or do you overcompensate, seek validation, or become awkward? Your ability to handle external challenges gracefully demonstrates reliability and leadership. Emotional control is critical here. Women assess whether your value is internal or dependent on their reactions. When a man responds deliberately, without letting provocation affect his composure, he passes the test. Emotional stability communicates strength, predictability, and trustworthiness, qualities that foster attraction and long-term alignment. Challenges can also be subtle attempts to test boundaries. She may push for favors, make indirect requests, or provoke jealousy to see how you react. Passing this test means responding according to your standards rather than giving in to manipulation or insecurity. Your reaction sets the tone for how she interacts with you going forward. Another key component is timing. A man who pauses, assesses, and responds thoughtfully demonstrates presence and control. Overreacting signals impulsivity, while ignoring challenges completely can signal disengagement. The ideal approach balances attention and composure, reinforcing your authority while maintaining connection. Finally, observing reactions to challenges is about pattern recognition. Women test repeatedly in different ways to gauge consistency. Passing these tests builds attraction and trust, while failing can erode respect. Recognizing these moments and responding with calm authority allows you to see her true character without confrontation, manipulation, or guesswork. Men who master this silent test protect their energy, maintain influence, and naturally filter for women who are aligned with their values. Understanding this aspect of female psychology ensures that attraction and respect flow on your terms, creating clarity and balance in the relationship dynamic. 4. Subtle comparison. Men, the fourth silent test is subtle comparison, when she indirectly measures you against other men, experiences, or social standards. This is not always conscious, but women do it instinctively to assess your confidence, value, and compatibility. How you respond determines whether she sees you as secure, attractive, and authoritative, or uncertain and ungrounded. Comparison often appears in casual conversation. She may mention exes, other men in her life, or highlight accomplishments of friends or co-workers. The goal isn't to insult or provoke, but to gauge how secure you are in yourself. A man who reacts defensively, competitively, or insecurely fails the test immediately. Confidence and composure pass it every time. Another form is social observation. Women notice how you carry yourself in mixed company, whether you are evaluated against peers or if attention is divided. How you handle subtle comparisons, by remaining composed, grounded, and authentic, communicates self-respect and value. Overcompensation or arrogance signals insecurity, while calm assurance communicates authority. Your response strategy matters. You don't need to prove yourself or compete unnecessarily. A confident man remains grounded, acknowledges the comment if necessary, and shifts focus to the interaction without over-explaining. This demonstrates that your worth is internal and not dependent on external validation or comparisons. Comparison also tests emotional control. She may make light-hearted jabs or tease you in ways that measure your reaction. Maintaining composure, humor, and perspective shows that you are secure in your value. Emotional overreaction indicates fragility and invites further testing. Another subtle cue is how she reacts to your successes or achievements. Women observe whether you handle praise gracefully or boast excessively. Both extremes can signal insecurity or arrogance. The balance lies in acknowledgement without overexertion, confidence that doesn't require validation but still demonstrates competence and reliability. Finally, understanding subtle comparison allows you to see her character. Women who consistently respect your energy, respond appropriately to your confidence, and avoid manipulative tests signal alignment. Those who constantly push, provoke, or undermine through comparison reveal traits that may create friction later. Recognizing this silent test early protects your energy and clarifies the dynamic. Men who master this principle navigate interactions with calm authority. They pass comparison tests effortlessly because their confidence is grounded, consistent, and authentic. Women notice instinctively and adjust their energy to match, creating attraction, respect, and alignment in the connection. 5. Observing reactions to kindness. Men, the fifth silent test, is observing reactions to kindness. Women often watch how you behave when you show generosity, patience, or understanding, and your response reveals both your standards and the way you allow others to treat you. This is a subtle but powerful gauge of character, trust, and boundaries. Kindness tests often appear in small ways. She may ask for favors, emotional support, or attention that isn't urgent. She's observing whether you provide it freely, grudgingly, or with conditions. A man who gives too much without standards risks being taken for granted. A man who responds deliberately, setting limits while still being considerate, passes the test and reinforces his authority. Another form is empathy and listening. Women notice how you respond when they share challenges, insecurities, or frustrations. Do you absorb their emotions and overextend yourself? Or do you respond with calm support while maintaining your own emotional balance? Your ability to engage thoughtfully without being drained signals emotional maturity and high value. Consistency is key. Women test repeatedly to see whether your generosity or patience is conditional, reactive, or stable. Over time, they learn whether your kindness is genuine but measured, or whether it can be exploited. Passing this test builds trust, attraction, and alignment because they feel your energy is intentional and secure. Another aspect is reciprocity. Kindness tests often reveal whether a woman respects boundaries and responds appropriately to your energy. If she consistently takes without giving, manipulates your generosity, or undermines your limits, it exposes traits that may cause conflict later. Recognizing this early allows you to make informed decisions about investment and alignment. Physical and emotional cues reinforce your response. Calm tone, relaxed posture, and deliberate action communicate that your kindness is a choice, not a necessity. Women notice the difference between giving from authority versus giving from neediness. Your energy communicates your standards more powerfully than words ever could. Finally, observing reactions to kindness helps you assess alignment without confrontation. Women who appreciate, respect, and reciprocate your deliberate support indicate compatibility and emotional intelligence. Those who exploit, manipulate, or dismiss it signal a lack of character. Understanding this silent test protects your emotional and physical energy while clarifying her true nature. Men who master this principle navigate interactions with authority, composure, and discernment. They give thoughtfully, protect their energy, and pass silent tests effortlessly. Women respond naturally, aligning their behavior with your standards, and attraction, trust, and respect deepen automatically. 6. Testing patience. Men, the sixth silent test is testing patience. Women often observe how you handle delays, minor frustrations, or unexpected changes in plans. These tests are subtle. They aren't confrontational, but reveal how grounded, disciplined, and emotionally resilient you are. How you respond determines whether she respects your time, composure, and energy. Patience tests appear in everyday scenarios. She may be late, cancel plans last minute, or introduce small obstacles to gauge your reaction. Women observe whether you become irritated, reactive, or anxious. Men who lose composure fail the test because it signals impulsivity and lack of emotional control. Calm, measured responses, however, communicate authority and reliability. Another form is in conversation. She might introduce minor contradictions, playful teasing, or provocative topics to see if you overreact. Your ability to pause, assess, and respond intentionally demonstrates self-control. Women sense this energy subconsciously. It indicates strength, leadership, and a steady character. Consistency is critical. Patience tests are rarely one-off. Women subtly repeat them in different ways to gauge your patterns. Over time, they determine whether your emotional energy is predictable, reliable, and aligned with standards. Responding consistently with calm authority passes the test and earns respect. Patience also applies to boundaries. She may push for favors, attention, or concessions beyond what you are willing to give. A man with patience maintains composure while enforcing limits. Overreacting signals weakness. Ignoring the situation completely signals detachment. The balance lies in measured response, firm, intentional, and aligned with your standards. Subtle nonverbal cues reinforce this boundary. Calm posture, steady voice, and deliberate gestures communicate stability. Women respond to energy first, words second. Your patience conveys strength more effectively than explanations or justifications. Finally, passing this test reveals alignment and character. Women who consistently respect your composure and respond positively indicate compatibility and integrity. Those who repeatedly push boundaries or provoke irritation without care for your reaction demonstrate traits that may cause conflict. Recognizing patience tests early protects your energy and clarifies her true nature. Men who master patience tests maintain control, protect emotional energy, and create attraction naturally. Women align with composure, respect your boundaries, and respond positively when they sense authority and stability. Understanding this silent test allows you to navigate the modern dating world intelligently and confidently. 7. Observing reactions to limits. Men, the seventh and final silent test is observing reactions to limits. This is one of the most revealing assessments a woman performs, often without conscious awareness. She watches how you enforce your boundaries, respond to no, and maintain your standards. Your reactions tell her everything about your confidence, self-respect, and authority. Limits appear in many ways. You might set a boundary about time, personal space, emotional investment, or physical intimacy. How she responds, whether she respects it, tests it, or tries to bend it, reveals her true character. Women observe whether you enforce limits with calm authority or waver under pressure. Another form of this test is subtle negotiation. She may attempt to push for concessions, extra attention, or flexibility beyond what you are willing to give. A man who stays consistent, calm, and firm passes the test. A man who over-explains, apologizes excessively, or gives in too easily signals weakness. Women notice this instinctively. Emotional control is critical. Limits are only effective if your response is measured. If you react with irritation, anger, or desperation, you fail the test. If you maintain composure, assert your standard, and move the dynamic forward without overcomplication, you pass. Calm, deliberate enforcement signals strength and reliability. Another key aspect is consistency over time. Women test limits repeatedly to see if standards are negotiable. Your ability to maintain boundaries in different situations, whether she challenges you in private, social settings, or emotionally charged moments, demonstrates authority and predictability. This builds trust and respect naturally. Subtle nonverbal cues enhance your enforcement of limits. Tone of voice, posture, eye contact, and energy communicate firmness more effectively than words. Women respond first to energy. Your calm authority signals that your boundaries are not optional and must be respected. Finally, observing reactions to limits reveals alignment and compatibility. Women who respect your boundaries indicate emotional intelligence, maturity, and respect for your energy. Those who disregard them or push aggressively signal traits that may cause friction or undermine attraction later. Recognizing this silent test early allows you to filter for women who align with your standards and protect your emotional and physical investment. Men who master this principle operate from a position of authority, composure, and consistency. Women sense this energy and align their behavior naturally, creating attraction, trust, and respect. Observing reactions to limits is one of the most powerful tools in understanding female psychology. It clarifies character, reinforces standards, and shapes the dynamic on your terms. Men, now you understand the 7 silent tests that reveal a woman's true character. Delayed responses, testing boundaries, reactions to challenges, subtle comparison, reactions to kindness, testing patience, and observing reactions to limits. Each one is subtle, yet extremely powerful in showing her priorities, integrity, and emotional intelligence. Recognizing these tests allows you to navigate interactions with clarity, protect your energy, and avoid being manipulated or misled. These tests are not confrontational. They are instinctive ways women measure confidence, emotional control, and authority. How you respond, with calm composure, consistency, and intentionality, determines respect, attraction, and alignment. A man who understands this sees the truth behind her words, tone, and behavior, allowing him to make intelligent decisions about investment and engagement. Consistency is everything. Silent tests are ongoing and subtle, designed to measure patterns over time. Women notice when a man's energy, responses, and boundaries remain steady. Reacting impulsively, defensively, or emotionally signals weakness. Operating with calm authority passes these tests effortlessly, naturally reinforcing your standards and leadership in the dynamic. Mastering these silent tests protects your emotional and physical energy. It allows you to identify women who are aligned with your values, respect your boundaries, and are capable of building trust and connection. Women respond instinctively to men who operate from authority and clarity, creating attraction and respect without manipulation or drama. Ultimately, understanding silent tests is a cornerstone of female psychology in modern dating. It equips you to see beyond words, interpret behaviors, and respond with intentionality. Men who master this skill lead interactions, maintain influence, and attract women who are emotionally intelligent, respectful, and aligned with their standards. Observe, interpret, and respond intentionally. Recognize the subtle cues, maintain composure, and enforce boundaries. Women notice your energy first, and your consistent authority sets the tone for every interaction. This knowledge is not theoretical. It is practical, actionable, and transformative. Pass these silent tests with calm authority, and you will know a woman's character before deep investment. You protect your energy, command respect, and create alignment that strengthens attraction, trust, and connection. This is your blueprint for seeing the truth in female behavior and mastering the dynamics of modern dating.